In today's video, I'm going to talk about the number one challenge candidates have in today's job market. And again, we're living in an employer-driven market. Basically means there are fewer opportunities and far more candidates, right? As you might expect, this creates a ton of pressure. And therefore, one of the huge challenges you should take into account if you're planning to go through such experiences is motivation. So candidates lack motivation. And this is far more often today than it was 2 years ago. Right? And I'm saying this after working with many of you. I also look at some of my analytics from my training programs, but also from coaching people. I realize that people no longer feel this motivated, because this pressure created by this, fewer opportunities for more candidates actually plays a key role into your motivation. And how do you deal with these motivational issues? Well, first and foremost, you should be aware that motivation is a struggle for many, many candidates going through today's interviews. I believe this should be helpful for many of you being aware of this situation. But the second way to maybe deal with this challenge would be to maybe sell this to yourself as a worthwhile exploration. Okay, so for example, whenever there's a struggle, whenever I have a struggle, I go through some intense crisis, I always try to find an opportunity there. And I always try to sell it to myself, hey, yes, but this could easily, become something hugely successful if I do the right thing. So if I translate this to an employer-driven market, well, okay, if there are fewer opportunities, then maybe, that employer will assign their best interviewers to screen candidates and therefore minimize the chance that great candidates will be rejected, right, from that offering. All right, so it's well known that job interviews and screening routes in particular are comparable to gambling. Well, nowadays, if there are fewer job opportunities, maybe they will assign their best people to screen. So therefore, it will be a more fair process, to the extent, of course, you are also going to take that opportunity seriously. Or other ways to motivate yourself would depend from person to person. It's basically very much depends on where you are during the process, right? But I found that motivation, if you keep your motivation levels high, I believe you're significantly more likely to do well in these exchanges. And let me just close by saying that a mistake to avoid, which I also tend to make in pressure situations and in challenging times, I call this the optimism bias. So in simple terms, if you expect an interview to be successful within 3 months, especially during these challenging times, I believe the safer way to go around these estimations would be to multiply it by 4 or 5, So in other words, if you think you're going to get to be successful in a job interview within 3 months, better prepare so it will take 1 year for that. I believe this is also a very valid piece of advice, especially to help to bringing realistic goals for events such as preparing for job interviews and exploring opportunities in general, right? So long story short, motivation is something you should take far more seriously now than you used to, especially preparing job interviews. And of course, try to avoid the optimism bias here. So I hope you found this useful, and thank you very much for watching.